Guys, we're live and we're here and we're back with David Dov Fishman. Um, Dov is here, and this is a new teaching and this is I'm blessed, honored that Dov is going to offer it the first time here publicly. Uh, so, you know, I make a lot of clips from our conversations, shorts, YouTube shorts. Um, so um, I think this will be able to reach a fair amount of people. And what we're going to talk about is metaphysics, right?
Yes.
And the three A's.
The three A's of metaphysics. And the three A's are awareness, acceptance, and applying. Because without the applying, it's all lip service. And like in the Course in Miracles, many people do the Course for years and years and years, and they're not aware that they're not a body. Even though he says it 43 times in the Course in Miracles, in 43 lessons, he says, I'm not a body, I'm free. I'm still as God created me. But if you don't apply it, it's lip service. Oh, yeah, I'm not a body, I'm free. No, you have to apply it.
And it really is Course in Miracles is a course in doing. It's not theoretical.
The doing for me is to be aware, awareness. I don't have to do anything to be aware. To be aware is to be in the center of the universe and just smile and laugh at it all.
Hey, Dov, can you share that the Tao Te Ching quote that you shared with me backstage?
Yeah, I just came across my desk today. Lao Tzu, who lived 500 years BC, said, if you have a new thought, you got to laugh at it.
And for those who might not be familiar, we got in trouble, according to A Course in Miracles, because we remembered not to laugh.
Exactly. Exactly. It's so good that you said that. In fact, Ken Wapnick, as you know, is my teacher. And Ken says, this whole thing happened because we remembered not to laugh. And you find that in chapter 23, chapter 27, section 8. It's called The Hero of the Dream. A tiny mad idea entered into eternity, and the Son of God remembered not to laugh. We took it seriously. If we didn't take it seriously, we'd be laughing now, just like Buddha, the Buddha belly.
Right. Could you give a little, a brief explanation of metaphysics first? So when we're talking about metaphysics, what are we talking about?
Sure. In metaphysics, the word meta means above, and physics means form. So this is beyond form. And this is a world of form. I'm over here. This is form. I'm a body over here. This is a cup, another form. I got a phone in my hand. So they're all different forms. So in the world of form or physicality, there is nothing but things.
Oops, Dov, you froze up. We're gonna take a minute, guys.
What do I do? Okay, I'm talking now. All right.
Right, we're back.
Okay. So in metaphysics, he doesn't say to you, I'm going to give you a metaphysical idea now. He doesn't do that. What he does, he just puts it in the Course of Miracles along with everything else. And I guess I have taken the course. I'll use the expression, chapter 22. He says, either this course is to be believed entirely or not at all. He says that in chapter 22. I think it's in section 2. I could find it for you. Either this course is to be believed entirely or not at all. So a lot of people take the low hanging fruit, oh, I agree with that, but when he says there is no world, which you find in my birthday lesson is on May 12th. It's lesson 132. And in paragraph 6, it says, there is no world, exclamation point. He says, this is the central theme this course teaches. Now, I got to admit, if it wasn't my birthday lesson, maybe I wouldn't have seen it and I would have glossed over it like a lot of people. But it's my birthday lesson. And to me, my birthday lesson is the lesson I was born to teach. That's
I like that.
yeah. That's how I came to birthday lessons. I was listening. I met Ken Wapnick back around 1981, and he used to give these talks in Manhattan. And I remember I was in at one of his talks, and he said, this everything in this world happens perfectly. And I said, if everything happens perfectly, then what's the possibility if there's 365 lessons that if you were born on a certain date, that's the lesson that is your birthday lesson that you were born to teach? And immediately, and as it happens, I do have a what I call it's a thing that gives me all the lessons and all the days of the year and all the lessons that go with it. And you just look it up, and on May 12th, the lesson is 132, and that's the one that says there is no world. I took it very seriously.
And that really has been the times that we've talked, you have brought that message over and over again. There isn't a world, and your favorite that you've worked with for a long time. Um, there is no body. I am free, for I am still as God created me. We got timed out again, guys.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm back.
Not a problem. So metaphysics takes us beyond a world that doesn't exist.
Well, it takes me to the real world. Remember, in the course, in the introduction, he says, I could sum up this whole course for you in 3 lines. He says that in the introduction, which I know that you know. He says, what's real can't be threatened. What's unreal doesn't even exist. Herein lies the peace of God. So in this world, which is like it's like a positive and a negative in a Kodak picture. Remember, first came the negative, and then you turn the negative into a positive, so you get a real picture. So in this world, we think that this is the real world, and this is just the dark shadow reflection of what's real. The dark shadows reflection. There's a shadow because it blocks the light. Light is real. Shadows and darkness, which he talks about, are things that we block the light. Ego blocks the light.
Okay. I think you actually just answered a question that a friend had with that answer.
Okay.
Wanted to know, David, why do you think the ego is mentioned so much in relation to the course? Is it simply a case of surrendering or thinking less and just letting ourselves flow?
Well, because Dov, even though I call myself Dov or David Fishman or something like that, is really the ego. I mean, everyone who has a body has an ego. That's why he talks, but he's not talking to the ego, by the way. In the course, when he's speaking to spirit. He's speaking to Dove's spirit. But Dove has an ego that says, "Hey, listen, that's nice that there is no world, but as far as I'm concerned, I just want my 3 square meals a day and a nice soft bed to lie in." You know what I mean? That's all the ego is interested in.
So when you say spirit, um, could we use that synonymous with awareness?
Yes, yes. A spirit is awareness, and it's also the mind of God. God is spirit. I mean, Holy Spirit, which the course is talking about all the time. Let me step back and let spirit lead the way. Is God in this world as my companion to bring me home? He's my mighty companion to bring me home. He only came. Spirit came into now. Let's get down to some things that somehow get skipped over. I mean, who is Holy Spirit? It's my true self. My true. This is not Holy Spirit.
We lost the sound.
Spirit is spirit. You can't see spirit with the physical eyes. The body's eyes cannot see spirit. You can speak about spirit, but you can't see spirit. The body's eyes only see bodies or physical or form. Can I just say something to somebody, and I'll be right back. They keep calling me.
Sure, sure. Yep. So we're talking about the 3 A's. This is Dov's teachings on the metaphysics of the Course of Miracles. The first A was awareness. Who we truly are is awareness. Awareness is synonymous with spirit, synonymous with God. As Dov said, Holy Spirit is who we are. I was given a recap on awareness, the first of the 3 A's.
That's right. Awareness, spirit, same.
So, our first step in the 3 A's is knowing that we are aware, knowing that we are awareness itself.
Well, awareness is, you know, the idea of awareness uh, is the idea that judgment judgment is judgment is the opposite of awareness. Judgment actually, there's no judgment in awareness. There's no judgment. Can
Yep,
you hear me now? Yeah.
we're fine.
There's no judgment in awareness.
So, awareness is unconditional.
Yes. Yeah. God's love is unconditional. That's how you know it's the love of God and not the love of the ego. The ego's love is always special. Ego loves like I love you, Eric. I don't like some of the other TV personalities. I love you. That's the ego making you special, denying others. The love of God includes all equally. Equally, the idea of equality is unknown to the ego. The ego only makes things. I love you, and I don't love you. I accept you, but I don't accept you. You know, it's always seeing differences. The ego lives in a world of differences, whereas the love of God is seeing all the sameness.
So how do we apply awareness as in the metaphysics of the course?
Awareness, in chapter 18, section 6, it's called Beyond the Body. That's the name of the chapter. And the very first line, excuse me, very first paragraph, first sentence happens to be one of the most metaphysical ideas of the course, and it blows your mind. The first time I ever saw it, I said, "What? That's crazy." So the very first line goes like this: there is nothing outside of you. This is what you must ultimately learn. And I remember the first time I read that, I said, what do you mean there's nothing outside? Everything is outside of me. My dog Happy is sitting over here. He's outside of me. Come on. That's crazy. The same paragraph. We haven't even gone to paragraph 2. Last sentence of the same paragraph says, what is heaven? Heaven is an awareness of perfect oneness. You can't see oneness because how could you see oneness when you're part of the oneness?
Hmm.
So if you're part of the oneness, you can't see it with your eyes. It's not objective. It's not something out there. It's an awareness of oneness. And if you're aware of oneness, you're happy, you're peaceful, you're loving, because that's all there is.
So we could say awareness is um, just a continuous return to our true nature.
Yes, awareness is your true nature. Yes, it's your beingness. Being is aware.
Um, and in the application to what we're talking about here, then we just keep returning back to our beingness. We keep returning back to um, basically the present moment, which is the time when we experience our true self, right?
And so you can only experience yourself in the now, in the holy presence of now. If you stray into a moment before or a moment after, you're back to the ego. The ego lives in time. And in the Course, Jesus says time is the vast illusion. So anything that happens in time is always of the ego. The ego can only live in time and lives in time. So it loves to talk about the past. Like this person who just called me. I can only think things about her from the past, like she shouldn't call me, and why is she calling me? So the ego has all these questions about the past and also about the future.
Um, we have a question about awareness.
Okay, very good.
Do you think we can be too aware, overly aware? Danger
No,
of this.
no, no. Awareness is not a quantity. You can anything that's quantified, like measurable, too much, too little, is always of the ego. Always of the ego. Only the ego measures, quantifies. And by the way, believe it or not, that goes right into my next. I was born on May 12th, and my birthday lesson is lesson 132, which we just went through. Lesson 132 happens to be I loose the world from all that I thought it was. In other words, whatever I thought the world was, I was wrong. I loose the world. I don't hold on to my idea what the world is. You know, if you hold on to your idea, well, the world is 24 hours to rotate on its axis. It's 12,000 miles in diameter. So my mind is talking about quantities. No, the real world cannot be quantified. It's an isness. It always is. The real world is eternal. And what is eternal? Endless nows. Endless. It's always now. It's endless nows. So I did mention the idea of the next lesson is 133, which happens to talk about another metaphysical idea, which I'm going to mention now. The metaphysical idea in 133, the name of that lesson is called I Will Not Value the Valueless. What's valuable belongs to me. And he gives you two criteria for what has no value whatsoever. The first criteria is if something can be counted, measured, that begins in time and ends in time, it has no value to you, the eternal being and love of God. It says, what good is something that has only limited value to you? You're eternal. You want something that has no value in eternity? You're going to forget who you are, and you're going to start chasing. Notice in the Declaration of Independence, it says the pursuit of happiness. You're entitled to the pursuit of happiness. Whereas in lesson 101, it says God's will for me is perfect happiness. I don't have to pursue it. It's not happening in the future. Happiness is right here, right now. It's in the nowness. So that's one of the things about lesson 133 is anything that is valueless is something that's quantified. What has real value is qualified, something that's quality like peace, kindness, light, love. Anything that's eternal is qualified. Anything that happens in time is quantified.
So, of course, you've just explained our material existence, because we literally have spent a lifetime believing in acquiring.
The ego is all about acquiring. In fact, in the three lessons of the Holy Spirit, which is chapter 6, section 5A, B, and C, and I always like to say the Holy Spirit doesn't have 365 lessons like the workbook. Only has three lessons. The very first lesson of the three lessons you find in chapter 6, section 5A. And this is what A says: to have, give all to all. That's certainly metaphysical because the ego says, what are you, crazy? If I give all, I'm going to have nothing left for me. I'm not going to do that, because the ego only thinks of quantity, not quality. So if I'm giving money, if I give it all, I'm going to be broke. That's crazy, right? But if I'm giving love, the more love I give, the more I'm giving to myself, because we're only one self. One self. The more I give, I'm giving to myself. I'm always loving myself. Peace. When I give peace to somebody, I'm giving peace to. There's only one self. Whatever you give, you're giving to yourself. That's the first of the three lessons. The second of the three lessons, the second one is to have peace, teach peace to learn it. To have peace, teach peace to learn it. And in the beginning of one of the second or third paragraphs, he says, the very first thing to do in this lesson is to stop the getting habit. We're always trying to acquire, to get. There's no peace in getting. You always think you have to do something in order to have something. He says, stop it already. Stop this getting. You don't have to get anything to be the Son of God. You already have everything. Being and having are the same.
Imagine the generations of seekers, spiritual seekers, who were always looking for that carrot on the stick. We're always looking for the special mantra and the deeper meditation, um, and yet everything they were searching for was already right here.
Very good. Excellent. That reminds me of one of the stories I remember from my mother. I was a little kid. My mother used to tell me this story. She told it to me a number of times, so it definitely is in my consciousness. The story goes, there's this dog who has this very big bone and goes down to the water, and he looks in and he sees another dog in the water who has another big bone, and he wants the other dog's bone. So he tries to grab the other dog's bone, and you know the moral of that story.
Right.
He loses his own bone.
So we could literally spend a lifetime seeking and miss what we are, and many have.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, there's a line in the course, that says, "Seek the ego's." It says the ego's motto uh, is "Seek and do not find." That's the ego's motto.
Just read that
Seek,
this morning.
seek, and do not find. It's always, oh, tomorrow I'll have it. You know, oh, it's just around the corner. It's just over the hill. It's always just beyond me. I just keep on. It just wants you to keep on going. But the moral of that story is the ego just wants to keep your mind busy, so you don't know you have a mind. If you're mindless, and Jesus says that over and over. Jesus, the course, the ego wants you to be mindless because if you had a mind, you could choose again. And that's the last chapter, the last section, chapter 31, section 8, choose once again. Where you once made a mistake before, you can now have another chance to choose again. And the only choice that we made wrong was we chose the ego instead of spirit. That's the only mistake that we ever made. That's why lesson 5 says, I am never upset for the reason I think. Happens to be Ken Wapnick's favorite lesson of all the lessons. Why? He says, well, you're never upset for the reason you think, because if you think that you're upset because you're reading the wrong book or something like that, and you should have read someone else's book, that's never it. It's never the reason. The reason you're upset and you're angry and you're afraid and you're depressed and you're sad is you're listening to the ego. You chose the wrong teacher. That's why you're upset.
So we have been chasing the quantifiable, counting our treasures on earth, ignoring our treasures in heaven, were our only true treasure, and that relates us to awareness, because awareness itself is unquantifiable. That it's just aware. I'm aware of everything in
Right,
this room.
right,
Now, of course, my attention can go here and here and here, but
right.
awareness,
Yes, exactly. Awareness puts you at the center of the universe with God, literally. God is aware of all, smiles and laughs, always happy, happy with reality. Reality is happiness. And when he says, into eternity crept a tiny mad idea, and the Son of God remembered not to laugh, laughter is awareness. I mean, you notice that when you laugh, you're not thinking.
right?
There's no thought. I want. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Yeah, go.
No, go ahead.
I want to say I'm glad you brought up the thing that got me to talk about the three lessons of the Holy Spirit, because I always understood the first two. The first two, to have, give all to all. I mean, I didn't always, but I got to recognize that that's obviously a principle of being divine or loving, to just love all, give all to all. I always knew about the second, which is to have peace, teach peace, to learn it. I mean, that's obvious. Be peaceful in all that you do. That's how you learn to be what peace is for. And remember, the goal of this course is peace. The goal of the course is not waking up or something like that. The goal of the course is peace, to be peaceful. Because if you're peaceful, you have everything. Notice lesson 185 says, all I want is the peace of God. And the first line says, to say this means nothing, but to mean it is everything. To mean all I want is the peace of God is everything. Because to have the peace of God is to have God. It's not the peace of this world. There's a war going on, and I hope there's some peace. No, that's not the peace of God. The peace of God is your get out of jail free card. It's your immunity. You are immune in the peace of God. Nothing can touch the peace of God. The peace of God is beyond all understanding. That's from the Bible. Peace of God is beyond all understand. You can't understand the peace of God because only the ego tries to understand. Okay, now I'm coming up to the third of the three lessons. And I never really understood the third. And now I'm going to tell you what the third is. And this is very important because this is how I came into focusing on metaphysics. The third of the three lessons is, above all else, be vigilant for God and kingdom and his kingdom. Above all else. That's the third. Now, I never really, when I read it, I mean, I read it like lip service read. But I did not really understand it until now. And for those people who know the Bible, for those people who know the Ten Commandments, you know the very first commandment is, thou shalt have no idols before me, or thou shalt have no gods before me. Is this exact same thing as the third of the three lessons of the Holy Spirit? He's really saying, I want you to be only vigilant for the kingdom. You are the kingdom. But if you start saying, oh, I have an hour to go, so I'm going to spend the hour the way I want to spend it. Excuse me, that's making time very special. If you say, well, I I like most people, but I like this person the most. You're making an idol out of something that you're putting in front of God. God sees all the same. You say, well, no, we're not all the same. Some are better than others. That's passing over the first commandment and going on to the second commandment.
So those are the three lessons of the Holy Spirit.
That's right. Chapter 6, section 5, A, B, and C. 6A is to have, give all to all. 6B is to have peace, teach peace, to learn it. And 6C, and each of these is about 3 or 4 pages. So there's about 12 pages that I'm talking about. And C is, above all else, be vigilant for God and kingdom. That means don't look elsewhere. Just look at the love of God. That's all you have to look at.
So, and you were saying that pretty much sums up the metaphysics, right?
That's how I realized. I've always found the course kind of easy, and I know a lot of people do the course and say, well, it may be simple, but it's not easy. I think that's a line in the course. The course is simple, but it's not easy. Well, okay,
Right.
so uh, I think what makes it easy is I've always been aware of the metaphysics and I honored them. If you honor the metaphysics, you're not taking things in this world seriously. Like I can watch a news program, CNN or and MSNBC or any news program, and things are going on in the world, and I don't go through a lot of stuff. Oh God, I see it like a movie. It's on the screen. Yeah. Is there something to be angry, upset about? I want it my way. They shouldn't do it that way. I don't get into that. If you don't get into that, it's like going to a movie. You're sitting in the audience. If you're sitting in the audience, unless you start to identify with one of the characters, and you don't want that character to get hurt, you're watching a movie, and okay, it's a good script. The actors are good actors, and okay, at the end of the movie, it's time to leave the movie. I don't take the movie. He should never have done that.
Right. Dov, I'm glad you brought up the movie, because we had a friend who asked if you could talk about. Let me see if I can find it real quick. If you could expound upon the projector and the projection.
Oh, excellent question. Thank you very much. Yeah, but the projection makes perception is in chapter 21 in the introduction, and it starts off projection. It's a three-word sentence. Projection makes Projection makes perception. The world you see is an outside picture of an inner condition. So, because we are bodies, because we think we're bodies, and we don't really want to see what's going on over here, but we're happy to see it outside of us.
Hmm.
Like, I might feel guilty that I left God. You know, God doesn't love me anymore. I mean, after all, why would he drop me off at these people's house where uh, I'm on the wrong side of the tracks because my friends are on the other side of the tracks. Uh, I don't have money to go to school, college. I'm kind of left out. Why is this happening to me? So so the idea that somehow God doesn't love me, and I'm kind of an outsider. I'm trying to get back in. I'm trying to know the right people. Trying to get. Wait a minute. That's how the ego thinks. I want to be approved. I want security. I want the things that other people have. They're rich. I'm not. I want what they have. Excuse me. that's that's how in this world you actually say, I want to be special. Right now I'm not too special. I want the girls to like me. I want to look good. I want them to think highly of me. Really? In truth, none of those things mean anything. They all come from the belief and I'm not good enough. The belief that I've done something wrong, that's called guilt. And this entire course is about letting go of your belief in guilt, your belief in the belief in guilt is I need to do something so that I can finally be innocent. So how can I finally be innocent? Project it out and see the guilt in other people. They are guilty. They have done wrong. They should be punished. I'm innocent. I'm innocent. I'm a victim. And if you come into this world as a body, you are already a victim. In other words, others are doing something to me. They should be punished, not me. I'm innocent. I'm a victim. That's why lesson 31 and 32 are metaphysical lessons. Metaphysical lessons. Lesson 31, I'm not a victim of this world. Lesson 32, I invented this world. He's telling you, I made it up. How metaphysical can you get?
Right. We have a follow-up to that. Can mindfulness help us see the projector in the mind instead of being constantly preoccupied with the images it projects?
Well, yeah, yeah. Like in meditation, the Tibetan Buddhists do what's called watching their thoughts. That's what I do basically. Tibetan Buddhist meditation is not sitting in a lotus position with with your feet on the floor or whatever. Tibetan Buddhists will be walking down the street, and what they do is they watch their thoughts. Like if they see a beggar on the street, they don't say, "Oh, that wretched soul." They watch their thoughts, and they recognize that their thoughts are their ego's thoughts, and they can let them go. That's how they undo what the ego is trying to do. The ego will say, when they see a beautiful girl, "Oh, there's a beautiful girl. I want her to see me." So the Tibetan Buddhists don't go through that. They watch their thoughts, and when they see an ego thought, they let it go. In fact, in the Course in Miracles, there's a saying, do you know what the secret of salvation is? And that's our only need. We all have the same need, salvation, which is to remember the truth of what we are. That's salvation. That's atonement. To remember the truth is salvation. And there's a question, and the question says, do you know what the secret of salvation is? And he gives you the answer. The secret of salvation is I'm doing this to myself. There's a book called Journey Beyond Words by an author by the name of Brent Haskell, who says he scribed the book from the same voice that spoke to Helen. And I used to listen to, I have it on CD. I used to listen to it all the time. I used to play at ACM Gather, which I started many years ago, and I listened to it many years, time and time again. And every time he comes to the part where he says, do you know what the secret of salvation is? And I say to myself, oh, he's going to say the secret of salvation is I'm doing it to myself. He doesn't say that. He says the secret of salvation is relax your mind, release your thoughts, and let go. That's what Tibetan Buddhists do. Tibetan Buddhists, are not about meditating and contemplating. They look at their thoughts and they realize it's an ego thought. They slow down, they smile at it, and let it go. That thought doesn't belong to me.
That's been happening to me rather easily and spontaneously of late.
That's
And
beautiful.
one of the things that it doesn't mean that I don't have the thoughts or that I don't get caught up in the thoughts, but there comes an awareness, and it seems like just the right lessons come to mind to bring me back from the ego to the awareness itself.
I think that's that's how we evolve. The evolution is instead of looking outside, we start to look within. That's perfect evolution. Because sooner or later, the looking outside, everyone's going to catch on. Looking outside is just putting off the inevitable. The ego hates the word inevitable. It says it in the Course. Ego hates inevitable. The inevitable is you're going to be looking at the belief in guilt and recognize there is no reason for guilt because I and the Father are one. I never left home. That's accepting the atonement for yourself. Your sole responsibility. He says it. Your only responsibility. He uses the word soul, SOLE. Your sole responsibility, even though there's another soul, SOUL, and a lot of I have some spiritual friends. They call each other instead of names. They actually call each other a soul, SOUL. So, but SOLE, your sole responsibility is to accept the atonement for yourself. By accepting the atonement for yourself, you're already home. You never left. That's what atonement is. What I think happened never happened. So when you find that in lessons 139 and 140, in lesson 139, I believe, is my sole responsibility is to accept the atonement for myself. And lesson 140 is the secret of salvation. Uh, uh, lesson 140. Only salvation can be said to cure. Only, the key word is only. Only salvation can be said to cure. Why is atonement a cure? Because the guilt has nowhere else to go. It never happened. If it never happened, there's no guilt. So accepting the atonement for myself, truly accepting it, and Ken Wapping says acceptance is the most important word in the Course. Truly accepting the atonement for myself means I'm guiltless. I'm innocent. I never left God. So guilt has nowhere else to go. There's nowhere for a guilt to go. If you're free of guilt, you are already spirit. You're not a body.
Coming to that realization alone should be enough to make us break out in joyful laughter. Um, just knowing that. I wanted to mention that some of the three lessons that have really come to mind for me when in that spontaneous mindfulness is the great lesson that you imparted to me, lesson 25. It's hard for me to take myself seriously when I literally don't know what anything is for.
Yeah. Thank you for reminding me of lesson 25. Lesson 25 is my mantra lesson. And it wasn't my mantra lesson from the beginning because at the first 27 years of my doing the course, I figured I knew everything about everything because I knew the course inside out, you know? And then I realized I heard a voice that, hey, Dov, close the book already. You can't find yourself in a book. A book is words, concepts, symbols. You're none of those things. And somehow lesson 25 came into my awareness. And what does lesson 25 say? Very simply, I don't know what anything is for, which is the exact opposite of how I started this. Well, I know everything, you know. That's the ego says I know everything. Only the ego says I know everything. And of course the ego knows everything because the ego made this world. The ego made time. The ego made planets. The ego made constellations. The ego made galaxies. The ego made atoms and neutrons and this. Everything was made by the ego thought system. Now, the ego thought system said, I'm going to make a world better than God's world. The ego thought, that's us. When we thought we were separate and apart, God, I'm going to show you I can make a better world than you. That was the Big Bang. That's the Big Bang.
It truly brings me back to center every time. I don't know what this relationship is for. I don't know what this argument is for. I don't know what this confrontation is for. I don't know. I don't know. And at the same time, knowing there is the voice for God within me that does know what everything is for.
Yeah. So thank you for bringing that up. If you want, I'll read it word. I'm going to read it word for word out of lesson number 25. And of course, Holy Spirit speaks to you and tells you what everything is for. And do you know what everything is for?
Forgive.
Everything is for you. Can you imagine that? By the way, lesson 25, I call, lessons go in, like, I call them sister lessons. Like 31, I'm not a victim. 32, I invented. Those are two sister lessons. They go together. 24 and 25 go together. 24 says, I don't perceive my own best interest. I don't perceive my own best interest. That's 24. 25 is, I don't even know what anything is for. And guess what? In paragraph 1, sentence number 5 says, everything is for your own best interest. That is what it's for. That is its purpose. That is what it means. Can you imagine that? Everything happens for you. And he says the same thing in other places. Chapter 4, section 5, first sentence. All things happen for the good. This is always true, except in the judgment of the ego. He says the same thing over and over again. I mean, you just have to kind of listen. I have been very fortunate in my life. I kind of say that Holy Spirit always makes me aware of something that I need to know. You might say, well, why doesn't he do it on all 1,300 pages? I don't really need to know all 1,300 pages. The ego definitely thinks it needs all 1,300 pages, which is why, this is what I was getting to. I realized that the course is easy for me because somehow ego said to me when I got to a metaphysical principle, Dov, listen, there is no world. So when I'm watching the news, I don't go, oh my God, they're doing it again. I'm watching a movie. I can smile and say, oh, I do have, when I do get upset, and Dove does get upset every now and then for sure. I said, there you go again, Dove. There you go again. So I'm saying it to myself. It's not about that guy out there doing it again. Dove, there you go again. So as fast as you can catch yourself, that's how you can tell your progress in A Course in Miracles. How fast you catch yourself.
And it's getting faster. The
Oh,
other,
yeah. That's
the
why
other,
you can start laughing more.
it is. The other two lessons that have been coming into play over and over again, along with the mantra that you imparted to me, which I'm so grateful for. 67 and 68, that love has created me like itself. And these are, I would believe this is what you would call a sister lesson. And love holds no grievances. Because if I have any grievance, then I realize immediately I can't have a grievance because love has created me like itself and love has no grievance. So it's a floating thought. It's a figment in my imagination that there's a grievance that is actually there because love holds no grievances and love has created me like itself. Therefore, I don't really have any grievances.
Yeah. Love is eternal. Grievances only happen in time. Only in time. Time is the home of the ego. The ego must live in time. There's no other place for the ego to be. The only other place other than time is the eternal now. The ego cannot live in the eternal now because it wasn't created by God. Only what God creates lives in the eternal now.
Dev, we have another question, and then let's after this question, we'll slide into the second A.
Sure.
Question: how can the Holy Spirit act as a mediator between truth and illusion? Does this not imply a form of duality within the bridge itself, while truth knows only oneness?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's that's obviously someone who's very aware of what the course is asking that question, and it does say mediates between truth and illusion, and spirit does that always for God. In other words, spirit is always choosing for God. So isn't that the third of the three lessons of the Holy Spirit? Above all else, be vigilant for God and the kingdom. So that's what Holy Spirit is, vigilant only for God, has no other idols. So he looks and see, spirit doesn't see bodies. So like I can say that person over there, I just don't like. I don't know why I don't like them. And but if I call upon a spirit's not going to interfere because I think I know what I'm doing. So it's only the ego wanting to be right. It's only the ego wanting to be right. But if I say, I really don't know what this is for, invites the Holy Spirit to step in. And of course, lesson 155 is the best example of it. Lesson 155, let me step back and let him lead the way. That's the best example of what we're talking about. I want to step aside and let spirit lead it. So you're calling upon Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit looks and doesn't see a body. Spirit doesn't have eyes, physical eyes. Spirit extends the love of God that spirit is. We are the love of God. That you're either extending or you're projecting. That's the only two possibilities. If I see someone over there I don't like, I don't know why I don't like them, but I just don't want them around me. Right? That's a projection from here to that. Spirit takes a look and says, "A Dove, smile and laugh. Whatever you're looking at isn't real. It's not. It's not. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. Spirit. The easiest way to know how spirit works is in chapter 6, section 2. It's called the alternative to projection. That's the name of the section. The alternative to projection. And in paragraph 5, this is what it says. The Holy Spirit starts by seeing you as innocent, starts by seeing you as perfect. Perfect. You're perfect. Seeing you as perfect includes your brother as perfect too. Includes. Ego excludes. Spirit includes. Inclusion is the way of God, includes all equally. This inclusion, these are the exact words. This is the exact words from the Course in Miracles. Inclusion invites atonement automatically. Once I saw that, someone's calling on me. I like to just for a second tell them to stop. Okay.
Sure,
All
sure.
right. All right. Back. Yes, I'm back. Okay.
You bet. So before we go to the next of the A's, did have one more question. The very last lesson, I would give you this holy instant. Be you in charge, for I would follow you, knowing your direction gives me peace. And then the continuation, the question is that the last lesson to us, to Holy Spirit, or Jesus to us, or both?
I said the person didn't understand. Can you please repeat the question?
Yes. So the very last lesson, I would give you this holy instant. Be you in charge, for I would follow you, knowing your direction gives me peace. And she wants to know, is that last lesson us to the Holy Spirit, or Jesus to us, or both?
Are you talking about lesson three? Are you talking about lesson 365? Yeah. Okay. All right. Lesson 365. By the way, when I said to you the first 27 years I had a different mantra, the final lesson, the last lesson, was my mantra lesson for 27 years. So basically, the lesson is saying, I am saying to Holy Spirit, I am putting you in charge at my request, knowing the direction that you lead brings me peace. If I need a word, you'll give me the word. If I need a thought, you'll give me the thought as well. And if I need a still and tranquil mind, that's going to be mine as well. So I'm asking Holy Spirit to be my guide, to be my voice. I'm asking Holy Spirit to lead me. Let me be still and let you lead me because I don't know the way. So this is my final lesson. I'm giving everything over to Holy Spirit. But who is Holy Spirit? We said it. Holy Spirit is really me. It's not Holy Spirit is not separate from me. If you think Holy Spirit is separate, like the Holy Trinity, there's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. No, that's the Holy Trinity. That's three. No, we are one. So I'm really speaking to my higher self. I'm saying to my higher self, not my ego self, I'm putting you in charge at my request, knowing the direction that you lead brings me peace. Because I can't find peace listening to the BS of my lower self, the ego.
Um, Dev, I don't mean to jump ahead, but this seems like a perfect time to go to the final A. I know we didn't really touch upon the second.
Well, we can touch on it for a second, for just a moment. The
Sure.
second is acceptance. And acceptance is so important because, you know, if you don't accept it, you're giving what I call lip service, and lip service is the ego. The ego loves lip service. Oh, I just read this incredible thing. There is no world, and then turns the page. Screw that. I don't know what that means. Screw that. That's the ego. It takes the words of the course and uses it for its purpose. Ego has a purpose, by the way. That's why in lesson 25, the very first sentence is three words. Purpose is meaning. That's the first three words. There's only two purposes. One is the ego's purpose, and one is Holy Spirit's. You have to choose which one is going to be your purpose. Purpose, in Ken Wapnick's terms, purpose is the only thing that has any meaning in this crazy, mixed up, make believe world. It's a make believe world. But the purpose allows you to either stay here or leave. My purpose is Spirit's purpose is to come home. I won't say go home because that's the ego's idea. Go home. No.
Right.
I want you to remember I never left home. Okay. That's acceptance. Now you want to go into applying.
But the only reason I wanted to go into applying now was because we were dealing with that final lesson. And it seemed to me that when we say the holy instant I would give you, be you in charge, for I would follow you, we're surrendering. And that this seems to be the perfect way of applying the course is when we're saying, um, Holy Spirit, now take charge. Holy Spirit, I give this to you. I give my life to you when I need something, when I need a word. Um, it's given.
Okay, so in applying it, if I spend more time of my day applying what that I'm aware, like for instance, in my life, I used to spend an inordinate amount of my time playing the stock market and trying to get money so I can have more. Those are all the ideas of the ego. To get money so I can have more, so I can finally be peaceful. And if the stock market went against me, I wasn't peaceful. I was unhappy. I was afraid I could lose all my money. So I was living in fear. So to know these things, I'll use the word is nothing, just like lesson 185. To say this means, excuse me, lesson 185. All I want is the peace of God. To say it is meaningless. To mean it is everything. So if I'm applying the metaphysics of this course, why am I chasing something that has no value to me whatsoever? Lesson 133. 133, I will not value what's valueless, things that you can count, things that are quantified, things that begin in time and end in time. You chase those things, you're going to be very unhappy. But if you value what God has given to you, which is the love and the kindness and the innocence and the perfection, you're going to be very happy because God's will for me and my will for me is happiness. Do I really need the stock market to make money to be happy? No. And I don't know if that answers your question, but that's how I see it.
Right? It does. It does. We do have a question about acceptance. Is
Okay.
there is there any difference between acceptance and surrender? I feel like that word's almost
Very good.
interchangeable.
That's an excellent question, and yes, you put this you put the two words together very nicely. Surrender and acceptance is really about the same thing. I just like to use the word acceptance. You should know this is a true story. Listen. You'll never find the word surrender in A Course in Miracles that has 1,300 pages. You'll never see the word surrender. And do you know why?
Mhm.
Because Helen hated the word surrender. That's a true story. Helen hated. If you know Helen, and anyone can know Helen by reading Ken Wapnick's book called Absence of Felicity. That's the name of the book, in which he writes the whole book on who Helen is, and she's a very strong-willed person, very strong-willed. If things go against her, she was very angry. So she doesn't like the word surrender. The one line in the course that she hated, the one line in the course she hated, I forgot what chapter. I think it's like in chapter 30, 31, 30. I don't know, something like that. The line goes like this, and God thinks otherwise. She
Mhm.
hated that line.
That's one of my favorite. That is one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah. And God, she hated the line because she had a very strong will. You know, the idea that God would think other than her, what are you kidding me? So because she didn't ever like, maybe Jesus said the word surrender to her, and she, knowing her relationship with Jesus, hey, Jesus, I don't like surrender. He said, okay. Acceptance.
And God thinks otherwise is a great turnaround for me. Every little thing that I get caught up in, every petty squabble that I have with myself or with other people, um, and I can very gently remind myself, and God thinks otherwise, um, and it literally puts the smile of God on my lips.
Loving, very, very lovely sharing. Thank you.
We have another question: is acceptance about circumstances, while surrender is about the self, which opens the door to
No,
true and
well,
lasting peace?
no, you know, you know. I'm gonna take a word that I've never used before with acceptance and ask you to look at it the way that I'm about to talk about it. You know, in the Course of Miracles, in the Teacher's Manual, the bedrock of the teachers of God, of the 10 characteristics, the only one that we must develop on our own is trust. Trust is really about letting go and letting God, letting go and letting God. But he tells you in the 6 steps of trust, even in step number 5, which takes a long time to get to step 5, he says this step alone can take a very long time because trust is not easy. Trust is basically letting go of everything and really trusting that everything is perfect exactly the way it is. The ego can't possibly do that. He said, if I let go, someone's going to take advantage of me. They're going to scam me. I'm going to be. Someone can kill me. I got to defend myself. If I defend myself, I'm attacking myself. Lesson 135. In my defenselessness, my safety lies. 153. Notice 135, 153. The course is a masterpiece.
It is. I wrote about trust this morning, and the realization that I really, for I'm 61. For 61 years, I've had no trouble trusting. But I've trusted the wrong thing. That I put complete trust um, in my ego and my perception of the world. That um, So why should I think that all of that is going to be undone? It is called the development of trust.
Yeah. Okay. So notice in development of trust, in paragraph 2, he says something that you either accept it, I'll use the word accept, you either accept it as true or you give it lip service. This is what he says. The teachers of God have trust in the world. Now that's a funny thing for him to say after he tells you there is no world. The teachers of God have trust in the world because they have recognized that the world, I'm trying to think of the exact, they have recognized that the world is not governed by the laws of this world. It's not governed by the laws of this world, but is governed by a power that is in us, but not of us. So it's the power of God that is still in us that's actually running the world. There's a line in the Course, God would not let his son over miscreate. In other words, the world is a miscreation. We made the world, we miscreated the world, but there's a limit to what we can miscreate. So there's a power in us that keeps the world okay. The world's not going to explode to smithereens. Like doomsday. We're now down to 6 seconds to doomsday. When I started when I was a kid, it was 5 minutes to doomsday.
In our remaining time, how do we? Is there a seamless approach to the 3 A's?
Seamless approach. Well, that's a. I wasn't prepared for that as a question, but a seamless approach. Uh, you know, getting back to trust. Uh, Trust is about letting go. Remember, I said, relax your mind,
Right.
release your thoughts, and let go. That's the seamless approach. Now, trust is mentioned in one of the lessons, in lesson 181. It's the first of the 20 lessons that Jesus said, any one of these 20 lessons is the whole course. And 181 is the first of the 20 lessons. And 181 says, I trust my brother who is one with me. That's the name of the lesson. And it goes for 2.5 pages. I always like to say, he's not talking about like, I'm going to trust you with my car keys, even though I know you had a couple of drinks before you asked me and you're probably not sober anymore. I'm not trusting you with the keys to my car or to my house. That's not what, that's the ego's idea of trust. No, I trust my brother is perfect. Whatever he's doing, I don't care if he's breaking the laws. I trust my brother who is one with me. Basically says that whatever is happening perfectly. Whatever is happening, that's really the same thing as lesson 25. I don't know what anything is for. And first paragraph, Spirit says everything is happening for you. Everything's happening perfectly. So I think that's kind of seamless for me.
I think it is. I love the way you tied that together. I'm actually writing down everything happens for me, as that is resonating very strongly with me right now.
Yeah. In
You
other
have a
words,
way.
yeah, putting it another way, the world was he tells you this in the course. The world was over a long time ago. You know, in Ken Wapnick's way of looking at it, the world was over in the instant that the Big Bang happened. It gave you all the permutations of everything that was about to happen in that one instant. And time, which is part of the illusion, made the permutations happen over a period of time. So we're always saying, like Dov used to say, well, I really wonder what happens in the future. It's already over. There is no future. The future happened a long time ago. I know that sounds really metaphysical. Like, what do you mean by that, Dov? The truth is, I don't really know what it means. I know that Ken had a real clear understanding, but everything has already happened a long time ago. And everything happened perfectly. And everything happened perfectly. That part I get. And that's why I and my brother are one. It's perfect. He's not different from me. He is me.
It had to happen perfectly because we are already right now awake in heaven.
That's right. That's right. Everything happened perfectly. And lesson 292 says a happy outcome of all things is sure. Lesson 292. A happy outcome of all things is sure. Or it could be certain. It's either sure or certain.
If we truly got that, trust would be easy.
Well, the ego lives in fear. The ego cannot trust. Trust is either 100% or zero. There's no 99% trust. Most people say, "Well, I trust most things, but some things I'm still holding back." That's the same thing as zero. That's very much like the story of a guy falls off the cliff and he could it's a long drop down, and he happens to be lucky enough to catch on to a branch of a tree sticking out of the mountain, and he's holding on for dear life, and he looks up, he says, "Is there anyone up there?" And he hears a voice saying, "My son, let go." And he says, "Is there anyone else up there?" Because he can't let go. He's afraid to let go.
I can certainly understand that. I can certainly understand that.
That's the same as the other one that everyone knows about the flood. The guy's on the
Right.
roof. The guy comes
Right.
by in a rowboat. He said, "No, no, no." He says, "God's going to save me." Guy comes by in a motorboat. No, 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 no. Guy comes by in a helicopter. No, 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 no. God's going to save. And finally, the flood gets to the guy, and he says to God, when he gets to heaven, he says, "How come you didn't save me?" He said, "Who do you think was in the rowboat and the helicopter?"
Trust has been a very big focal point in my own study now. And it hasn't been comfortable. To be completely honest, it hasn't been comfortable.
What makes it uncomfortable is fear.
Yes.
What makes it uncomfortable is fear. Fear says, "No, no. If I don't worry about it," and the word worry comes from the old English word wrangle, which means to strangle. So if I'm concerned, which is the same as worry, in fact, Ken Wapnick said, whenever you're concerned about somebody, you're cursing them. How could you be concerned about the Son of God?
Mm.
If you're concerned, you're saying, "I'm really worried about this person." No, you're worried about the Son of God, really? Whatever you say about anybody, you're talking about yourself. Whatever that's a dove. That dove said that 20 years ago. No matter what I say about anybody, I'm saying about myself. If I'm concerned about somebody, I'm concerned about me. If I'm worried about somebody, I'm worried about me. If I don't like somebody, I don't like me. If I like somebody, I like me. I'm always speaking about me. There's only one self. I can't be speaking about another self. That's what non-duality is. The Easterners in India, they only talk about non-duality and duality. They don't talk about body and spirit.
Um, I think that maybe even abstractly, a lot of people can understand there's only one self. I think it might be more difficult for people to understand that there's also only one ego, right? There's
Yeah,
not.
is there only one? Every person makes an ego for themselves. So when you come into this world, you have to have an ego. Why do you need an ego? Well, you need an ego to protect yourself. That's why. You might say, "Well, what do I need protection on the Son of God?" Bullshit. If you came into this world, you don't. You think somehow that you're not the Son of God. So okay, so everyone. It says that Jesus says everyone makes an ego for themselves. Now, if there's a hot stove, the ego says, "Hey, Dove, don't put your hand on the hot stove. You're going to burn yourself." If there's a red light, the ego says, "Hey, Dove, stop. You don't want to have a crash. Stop." If you're standing at a bus stop and you want to get off the curb, you have to look both ways, or else you get thrown under the bus. The ego is telling you to be careful. There's nothing wrong with the ego, by the way. You do need, if you have a body and you can die, you do need an ego to kind of keep you alive. So the ego is not bad. It's just that when it talks to you, it doesn't really care about you. It only cares about itself. Whereas love includes all equally. The ego has no idea what the word equal is. There's a line that course only equals enjoy peace. The goal, of course, is peace. If you are concerned or you are worried, there's no peace. When you finally can turn it over to say, "Holy Spirit, I don't know what this is for. Please take it from me." The Holy Spirit says, "Don't worry about it. Everything's happening perfectly. Everything is for you." So you can let go of worry and concern. If I'm watching the stock market and I'm worried about the stock market because all of a sudden oil can't get through the Straits of Hormuz, the price of oil, which was $3 a barrel, excuse me, $3 a gallon, is going. People in California are paying $8 a gallon for gasoline now.
Well,
I mean, you can't survive at $8. You can't go to work anymore. You got to start worrying.
I think the last thing that you said with the ego should give a lot of people some comfort and relief, because people here, especially any channel that primarily deals with the Course in Miracles, is going to be a lot of talk about the ego, um, and then people get concerned because I'm hearing that the ego is something I don't want, that the ego is an illusion, that the ego is causing me trouble,
Yeah.
and they think we got to get rid of it. But you
As
just
lo-
offered,
yeah, as long as you're in a body, you will have an ego. Period. Now, should you listen to the ego? That's the whole thing. And I think I once said this in another program, but uh, the Zen teacher can't think of his name. He says uh, Suzuki, the Japanese Zen teacher. He says, "Listen, thoughts will enter the front door of your mind. They will pass through and exit the back door. Just don't serve them tea. In other words, don't entertain your thoughts. They're not your thoughts. In fact, I happen to be on TikTok. My name on TikTok is We Are One. If you happen to be on TikTok, look me up. Today's video that I made is exactly that. And we are thoughts will enter your front of your mind, pass through. Just don't entertain your thoughts. They're not your thoughts. They are the ego's thoughts. 99% of the thoughts in your mind are not spirit, they're ego. So when what gets me in trouble and I have problems is I'm listening to ego. The ego wants me to have problems. Why does the ego want me to have problems? Because ego says, I'll solve your problems for you, and always keeps you with more problems. Notice I think it's lesson 79 and 80. Let me recognize what my problems are, 79. Sister lesson 80. Let me recognize I have no problems, lesson 80. Ego says you have lots of problems, baby. You got to pay the rent. You got to call this person up and apologize. You got lots and lots of problems, baby, and I'll help you with them too.
um, and of course that just creates more problems, perpetual.
It's like your to-do list. Did you ever finish your whole to-do list? Of course not. As soon as you do half the things, there's more. There's another half to do. There's always more. There's always more to do. Always more to do. That's
Um,
that is what the ego is. It's a doer. And Jesus is very clear. There's no doing in being. You are being the Son of God. Being and having are the same. You already have everything. You need do nothing in order to have what God gave you. God gave you everything. God gave you Himself.
I was just going to bring that up. I need do nothing.
I
Uh,
need do nothing. Chapter 18, section 7 is one of the most profound sections. He tells you these 4 words, I need do nothing. If you put it into your system, into your consciousness, will save you a century of chasing anything. A century, that's 100 years.
um, I've seen lots of people writing about that lately, trying to clear up any confusion about what it really means. I need do nothing, and you offered a beautiful right there, and I found myself smiling because I knew that was going to be where you ended up. I need do nothing. A lot of people want to apply that to the ego. Great. I need do nothing. I'm just going to sit home and put my feet up on the table and watch some TV and let the
No,
grass grow.
no, I know. I need do nothing means that you're on Eric's show, and hundreds of people love to listen to the Course of Miracles. That's what I need do nothing is.
Right. Um, so I love the fact spirit, Holy Spirit, who we are, truly needs do nothing. But the
That's
ego
right.
needs to
Spirit
stay busy.
is. Spirit is. It's an isness. Is like a verb. There's one sentence in the Course that has two words in it. God is. Now, the word God, I don't use the word God a lot anymore. I actually use the word love. Love is. You can drop the word love because love is like a noun. God is like a noun. The isness is a verb. It goes on forever. And there's a woman by the name of Mandy Sulk. She lives over in England. She wrote a book. It's a book of koan poems to trip up the mind. It's at Amazon. The name of the book is called "Isness is Your Only Business." So so the isness is the mind thinks that things are important. Things are nouns. Isness is not a thing. Isness is goes on forever. The isness is eternal. God is, love is, peace is, truth is. They're all isnesses. You go on forever.
There's a title of a book on the Kabbalah that said God is a verb.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. There's a book called God is a Verb. That's right. That's the exact same thing I'm saying.
Right?
God is. You can drop the word God. The isness goes on forever. Yeah.
I like that.
The,
That
the
should be a
wo-
name of a book.
yeah, yeah. Well,
Um,
was she this woman Mandy Sulk, and the book costs $12. It's priceless because it's all poems. She writes poems. The poems are koans to trip up the mind because the mind thinks a certain way. The poems get you to look at things differently. Like
I,
one of the greatest koans in the Course of Miracles, Ken Wapnick, who's my teacher, always laughs at it. He says, "What do you do when you get to the part of the course that says you have eyes that don't see, you have ears that don't hear, and you have a mind that doesn't think? What do? You just keep on reading? I mean, Jesus is telling you, you have eyes that don't see, you're blind.
we lost your.
You just keep on reading." Yeah, I think it's it's here in the east. It's 7 o'clock. It's kind of got to go. I just want to mention tomorrow, Thursday. We do once a week the 3 A's of metaphysics, and it's at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. You can get the link. It's on Zoom, of course, and anyone can attend it. The link, you go to acimgather.com. That's my website, acimgather.com. And it's like a whole family of teachers there. Because the purpose of Gather is to invite all people who want to be a teacher to teach, not to listen, but to teach. And it's all about developing trust. The only way to teach is to develop trust. When a person says, "I can't teach," they're saying, "I can't trust myself to teach because I don't know. No, trusting is, there's no knowing in trusting. There's no knowing in trusting. Trusting is letting go and saying everything is given to me. That's why the only thing you ever need to teach is what is on page 28 of the text in italics. I'm here only to be truly helpful. I'm here to represent him who sent me. I don't have to know what to say or what to do. He who sent me will direct me and give me what to say and what to do. That's trust in spirit. You don't have to know anything. You just have to trust.
Just have to trust.
Yeah.
Dov, thank you for that. Beautiful way to end. I'm going to do my best to see if I can make it tomorrow morning. I appreciate that. I appreciate everything you do.
Thank you. Thank you. And I appreciate what you do and all the people that listen to you.
Thank you. Love you, my friend.
God bless. Thank you.
Guys, I'll see you at 5 a.m. tomorrow morning.
What? I didn't hear you.
Oh, I was telling everyone in the
Okay.
in the chat.
Yeah.
I do a live stream at 5 a.m.
Wow. Actually, I get up.
We lost you one more time.